Community Connection on KGNB, brought to you by Waters International Realty.
This is Paige greening through our Community Connection. We're here with Heather Harrison from Hope Hospice. Heather, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful today. So, can you give us a quick rundown about what is Hope Hospice?
Well, Hope Hospice was founded by a group of concerned citizens in 1983, officially opened in 1984 to provide a optimal, better end-of-life experience for the New Braunfels community. We have been operating for nearly 40 years now as a nonprofit hospice, and many years ago, our board and staff opened up a grief counseling center. We also offer palliative care, so we offer hospice, palliative care, and grief counseling to the greater New Braunfels area, actually serving 10 counties.
And people may not be aware of your grief counseling services. Can you give me a rundown about what those are?
Sure, absolutely. So our grief counseling services are provided both to the family of those that we serve through our hospice care, as well as the greater community. Our grief counseling is provided by licensed professional counselors who are specialists in grief counseling, children's grief counseling, and other different therapies, therapeutic counseling services such as play therapy, and sand tray therapy, and things like that. And that's for both children and adults. Sand tray therapy and play therapy is good for everyone, not just children. So our counseling center is located behind the main Hope Hospice Administration building on Walnut. Most people are most familiar with the Hope Hospice thrift shop. So the counseling center is kind of behind both the thrift shop and the main administrative building there on Walnut, across from Town Creek. And we have a number of licensed professional counselors who see see clients through in-person, one-on-one counseling, talk therapy, as well as small groups, families even, with the counselor in a room together. And then also we have support groups of a variety of means that have different purposes, like a potluck, that's just a social gathering, to a workshop that we have. It's like a support group with the New Braunfels Food Bank. We have Texas, who's done a stand-up paddleboarding through grief kind of support group. And then we have a really great series of support group sessions called Help Through the Holidays, starting very soon. Holidays are a really hard time for a lot of folks if they're facing grief, and so we have a special support group just for that. We also offer Camp Haven Heart, which is a grief camp. Doesn't sound like a lot of fun, but it is. So there are therapeutic elements and recreational elements combined with a retreat-style workshop or retreat-style camp 2 different times of the year. The spring Camp Haven Heart is for families, and that will be held this next April 13th and 14th. We just wrapped up our Camp Haven Heart Youth Retreat, which was in October, just a couple weeks ago. And then we also have a day camp in the summertime. That one's not a retreat per se, it's just a day camp. But all of those, we are so blessed to say all of the counseling that we provide to the community, including Camp Haven Heart, it's free to the community to take advantage of because of the generosity of our community and our partners through people like the United Way.
You mentioned that you just wrapped up your youth Camp Haven Heart, and this upcoming camp in spring is for not just the youth. Kind of, how do you get involved in something like Camp Haven Heart?
Well, that's a great question. There's 2 ways you can get involved. One is to volunteer, and if you're interested in volunteering and serving at Camp Haven Heart or any of our programs, if you call the Grief Center that's the Hampel Weist Grief and Hope Center at 830-358-5300, the folks there can help you understand what it means to volunteer and set you up for one of our trainings. But if you need to partake of the services and the support that we provide at Camp Haven Heart, those applications will be available as we get closer to our next camp on our website. It's hopehospice.net.
And there's a lot of different things that go on at these camps. Can you give me kind of a list of some of the activities that will be taking place?
Absolutely. There are some therapeutic arts and crafts type exercises, memorializing your loved one, for example. or just expressing your own emotions. Children and adults, our grief changes along the lifespan, how we feel it, how we express it. And so that type of therapy that's more expressive is good for all age ranges. We also have things that push people outside of their comfort zone, for example, like high ropes. We are fortunate to be able to have a couple of our camps at different locations. The one we just had for youth was at John Knox Ranch out in Fisher. While that one doesn't have high ropes, it does have canoeing, which was a really special experience. At the John Newcomb Ranch in the spring, though, we get to do a high ropes adventure, and that's only if people are wanting to do it. But it seems that most of our families participate. Nearly every single one does some sort of high adventure, high ropes, and perhaps finds himself again in that challenging environment.
And you said people can learn more information about helping or partaking on your website when it gets a little closer. For people seeking general grief counseling services, what is the process of that?
Well, same for our grief camps, our Camp Haven Heart, and our support groups. Call anytime. If you call 830-358-5300, if it's after hours, we'll get back to you the next day. But when you call that number, you'll be able to speak to someone from our grief support staff who can provide more information about all of our services and offer an intake, if you will. There's an intake call where we find out a little bit about what's going on, or a lot about what's going on with you or your family, and in essence determine what the right offerings we have are for your specific needs. So call Dea is typically who will answer at 830-358-5300. We're open normally Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. However, we are able to see clients into the evenings to be able to accommodate work and school schedules. But if you call that number or get onto our website, and you can read a little bit more. But reach out, and we'll be sure to connect you with the right grief support services that we provide.
And we mentioned a little bit of volunteering in terms of Camp Haven Heart and grief counseling, but what are some of the other ways someone can volunteer with Hope Hospice?
Well, we have a lot of volunteer opportunities on our hospice side as well. We have patient care volunteers, some of which sit with patients toward end of life. Maybe it's more of a companionship visit. Perhaps that patient loves to play a certain card game or dominoes, or wants to be read to, or just listen to them and tell their stories, have them tell their stories. So we have companionship volunteers or patient care volunteers, and they go through some specific training to be able to provide that service. Similarly, we have an 11th hour program, volunteer program, and that's for folks who are on our service and they may not have someone to sit with them in the last moments of life. And that's a really sacred space to be in, and we want to ensure that no one dies alone. So there are volunteers who will sit with patients if they don't have anyone else to be with them. We also have a really robust We Honor Veterans program, and we have a Veterans Honor Guard. That group, we've got about 30 Honor Guard volunteers, most of which are veterans. And besides the Honor Guard presenting the colors and other significance at our We Honor Veterans ceremonies, we also have vet-to-vet visits. So veterans who have unique needs beyond civilians, we have veterans who understand the words and the experiences that other veterans have had, and so we'll pair those up as well. We also have administrative volunteers who help us in the office, whether it's the finance side or like on my team, for example, with development. We put a lot of different events on, and that can be a lot of fun, fundraising events. And so to be able to volunteer, if you call our main line at 830-625-7525, we can get you connected with our volunteer coordinator, match you up with exactly the right volunteer service that meets your heart, your passion, and helps you give back to the community.
A lot of different ways you can volunteer and help Hope Hospice. You can learn more, I'm assuming, all about all of that on our website, hopehospice.net. Thank you so much to Heather Harrison from Hope Hospice for talking to us today. Do you have anything you would like to add about Hope Hospice?
We're just so grateful to the community support. I did forget to mention one other volunteer opportunity, and that's with our thrift shop. So besides at our events, our fundraising events, our thrift shop with our donations and purchases, volunteering of your time, we're just so grateful beyond all of that to our community partners such as the United Way of Comal County, who provide us the much-needed funds to be able to provide all of these services for free to the community. So we're just very grateful. We're very happy to be able to have served New Braunfels, the greater New Braunfels area for 40 years come this March, and we're just eternally grateful to the support that we receive from that same community.
Thank you so much to Hope Hospice and, of course, Heather Harrison for joining us today. This has been your Community Connection on KGNB.